Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality. I'm your host, Josh Reeves, back in the saddle with you here for another week of shows. Glad you all could join me and be with me here for another broadcast. I didn't have any shows last week. I kind of I don't know what, it's just a combination of things. I'm still getting over the head cold. I guess it's kind of turned into a sinus infection thing. I kind of get one of those about one every couple of years, and that's about the only illnesses I ever get, really. The stuff I've been dealing with over the past few months has been really a first for me because I'm never ill. I've always been that way my whole life. I have a strong immune system, but man, again, I think a lot of it. I mean, there's so many times where it's so coincidental that there's no way it couldn't be, me being targeted for the work that I'm doing right now, especially with the Spellcasters 2 and all this stuff as I'm working on that. So, it happens so many times coincidentally at these certain times. And, first 4 times it happens, I don't even mention it, but then after it happens 10 or 12, 15 times in a row, I'm talking about, you'll be feeling fine. And then right before you go to do a radio show or something, all of a sudden you get these mysterious pains in your teeth. It's just been crazy. And yeah, that happened again to me last week. So I've just been trying to get back to feeling better. And all that stuff. So, and I've been working on the film as well. But hey, I'm back here with you now. So I want to just say hello to everybody out there, and thank you so much for tuning in, being with me. I'm going to talk about some various topics and a lot of different news and things here. I've got stuff that's been piling up for weeks, so I want to do my best to get into as much of it for you here on the show as I can. What updates do I need to give you before I get going here? I know there are some. There's been a lot going on over the past several weeks. Been a lot of stuff happening here. A lot of things I want to talk about. I mean, it's pretty crazy. We're in this time now where literally every day when I'm gathering news and looking at news items and stuff, it's like it used to be. It's totally different than it used to be. It used to be like there were constantly news stories coming out and stuff that's maybe you didn't know about or really heard about or anything that you'd seen or heard before. A lot of new stuff. But now it seems like every story and everything I look at now is just like reconfirmation of things I've discussed here on the show throughout the years. I mean, this is my 11th year in broadcasting here, folks. So it's crazy to think about the stories I covered in the first, so many years of the show, and telling people about this stuff that's coming to see now. It's, now starting to come to fruition. It is pretty wild. We had a little small goal earlier in the month for our Spellcasters 2 budget, just to get some gear and stuff that we need for the final stuff of the film. It was just a small goal of $600, and we did get that. So thank you to everybody who contributed out there. This is our it's kind of earlier in the week, but later in the week it'll be the start of our fundraising week for the around the first, second of the month and stuff, as we always do. But we've got some, what I wanted to tell you about. I wanted to remember to tell you about this before I got into the stories that I wanted to cover, so I didn't forget about this, because I don't think I brought this up in other previous broadcasts. But definitely go and check out the fundraising page, the Go Get Funding page for the month. You can find that on our Facebook pages. We have a couple here. I don't do Twitter or any of that crap, but we do put all the links to our fundraisers, and there's links to the download shops and various stuff on our Facebook pages. If you have not liked us over there, go and do that. There's two. One is the Global Reality Radio Network Facebook page, and the other is the Josh Reeves Filmmaker Talk Show Host Explorer page. So go and give a like over there. And you can always find the links to the various fundraisers and stuff there on those pages if you don't find them in the links to the videos and the shows and all that stuff. Anyway, the reason I wanted to tell you about this and remind you is we've got some perks this month that we're only offering this month. My goal is to have granted, there's some things that are going to have to happen, and it's going to mean a lot less shows over the next month. But as long as we reach our operating cost goal this month, and I can continue to focus on the film work, which is going to mean less shows than there already is. That's why, again, between the health stuff and working on the film, that's why there's not as many shows I know as you would like and I would like. But again, once the film's done, we will be back up to having a lot more shows and doing a lot more stuff, and I'll be putting a lot more things out. But for now, when I'm in the throes of making a film, it's always like this. I mean, you can ask anybody that's been listening for any amount of time. Because sometimes it's such a it really is. It's two different mindsets. I mean, it's difficult, very difficult sometimes to be in that mindset of working on a film, and then you have to completely change gears and put your mind into the mode of talking and doing a radio show, because it's totally two different worlds, two different things. But with that said, as long as we reach our fundraising goal for the month for our operating costs, and we get all the money we need here by next Monday, the 2nd. The 1st is a Sunday. That's Easter. So we'll have to have everything no later than 5 o'clock on Monday, the 2nd. So as long as reach our goal on that, probably around this time next month in April, almost exactly this time, I would say, I should be able to have, pending any, acts of God, fucking death and destruction, fucking unpredictable horse, there's always that, but it's looking really good that I should be able to have the film completed and done in the next month, pending that we, reach all our goals and all that stuff. So I'm excited about that. We've got the piece of gear that I need, which is a cheap $300, synthesizer from like 14 years ago, but it does all the stuff I need to do. And I found one used. The thing about it is, the one I got, it's not like it was a very expensive one, but they were kind of expensive when they came out. So there were not that many of them sold. So they don't come up used that often. And every time I would find one used, it would be there for like fucking a month or something, right? And right when I would almost have all the money together, it'd get sold. So I'd have to wait and look and keep looking. And finally, there was like one left. Fucking one left on the whole internet. And I didn't have, and it was like more than the one that had sold previously. But anyway, I was able to finally get that. And then it gets here, and get this, it gets here, and there's no fucking power supply in it. Wah, wah. We want to talk about letting the fucking air out of your balloon, dude. Luckily, it was like $15 to get a replacement for one, and it worked and fired up and everything. So, because I do every element of these films, right down to the composing and the arranging of the score and the soundtrack and all that stuff. This this is a hell of a piece of work, man. It really is. And the one thing that I'm most glad about this film, I'm really excited about, is the fact that, there's so much. I mean, there's no fucking way I can make this movie 20, 30 fucking hours long. It could be a 25 DVD box set and you still wouldn't get all the shit in there. That's a fact. So, of course there's going to be shit in there. People, I wish this would have been there. Or, that drives me nuts sometimes, It's like people won't, it's the same thing with people do with like information. Like if you can get a million things right, But one little thing that you mess up on, like you mispronounce a name wrong or something, that's what people focus in on. So, I've just decided to just wash my hands of that and not be concerned with that. I've had to do that before. I had a big problem with that with Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 1. It was just a fucking retarded amount of info that I had, and I was bound and determined to get every fucking bit of it in there. It's impossible. You have to, at some point, secede to the fact that you're never going to be able to get everything in there. But what I've done with the because basically what I'm going to do is I'll be giving you an overview. There'll be some stuff that'll be briefly mentioned that won't be expounded upon, but so the very specific cases I've chosen to discuss. Basically, what it'll be kind of like giving you kind of an overview of all these various different musical conspiracies through the years and whatnot, and how, just like in Volume 1, it relates to the CIA stuff and mind control and social engineering and all this stuff, and the fake death stuff and all the black magic stuff. All this stuff's going to be tying in. But basically, what I'm going to be doing is having a brief overview of that, and then only working from these select cases that I've chosen. What's interesting is that all of these individual select cases that I've chosen all weave together across decades. It's insane. You wouldn't think that I could connect, the death of Kurt Cobain and Scientology and, the CIA LSD stuff in with, the fall McCartney stuff, and then back to, the death of Randy Rhoads and tying that in with the CMP stuff. You're just going to have your goddamn mind fucking blown by this movie. This is really not brag. This is honest to God not bragging, folks. There's nobody. You're going to see this. When you see this, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But there's literally ain't nobody else, man. That's one thing I can say about myself. Ain't nobody else that could make this film. There's just no way. And a lot of this is just, I think a lot of it, the reason why I've been able to do this is because I'm such a music historian and, knowledgeable about all that stuff as well. And little tidbits of things I remembered, I go back and, I'm able to find and tie these things together. But, this is going to be the ultimate film. I've said I didn't know if I was going to make any more films after this. I don't think I'll make any more films on this of this caliber on this scale. I think I still will make some films. I still want to put out the Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3, and then next year, 2019, will be the 10-year anniversary of the first Secret Right film. And I plan on making what I've kind of initially named the Secret Right Ultimate Edition, which will kind of be, an updated version of the first two films, not with the same info in them or anything, but just kind of like, making almost like I'm making a CMP film for the first time, because I've learned so much since then. And as I've talked about many times, it's only been over the past 3 or 4 years that I've really even started to even understand and get a grip and be able to present to you. I just did, when I first fell into this CMP stuff and first started researching, I even fucking at the time, I didn't have any fucking clue what I had really uncovered. I do now. At the time, I didn't. And needless to say, it's much more massive and far-reaching than I thought it was. And on that note, here's an email entitled Fred Trump and the JBS, John Birch Society. Dear Josh, someone passed the info to me that on Alex Jones's last Facebook broadcast on Trump, that he said Trump's father was in the John Birch Society. I cannot find this info to be backed up at all, so either number one, Alex is lying, or number two, he has knowledge of the CMP and JBS that he would only be privileged to know because he is in them. Just further proof, I have an isolated clip of it if you want it. Well, thank you, John. Well, yeah, of those two things that you said there, you can't find. So he said on his show that Alex Jones said that Trump's father was in the John Birch Society, but you try to look online and you try to look it up, and you can't find that anywhere. So you propose that either number one, Alex is lying, or number two, he has knowledge of the CMP, JBS, so you don't be privileged to know because he's in them. Well, number two would be closer to the truth. Here's what you got to understand, and this is what I didn't understand when I first started researching on this CMP stuff. The John Birch Society most definitely ties in. I've shown that in the films. This is what you got to remember. And if you remember this, when you hear these things said, it'll alleviate all questions or doubts you might have in your mind. You got to just remember this. When you hear the term, the term or the word or the group CMP or Council for National Policy, or JBS, John Birch Society, or NRA, National Rifle Association, or the Heritage Foundation, you just got to remember when you hear these words used, they're like code words. They're like trigger words. Just remember when you hear them that if you hear CMP, that means CIA. If you hear JBS, John Birch Society, that means CIA. Okay? Jones, he's let all this kind of stuff slip for many years, but he knows the majority of his audience. He knows the majority of his audience. He knows that their minds exist in this sort of walled, existence where, for the most part, most of his listeners don't have knowledge of anything outside of what Jones tells them, because they don't research stuff on their own. So when he talks about this stuff, he knows most people are ignorant to these things. So I'll do my best to explain this to you. Here's how he would know that information, how he would have that information. It's very easy to figure it out. And this explains all of this stuff with Trump and Jones and all the rest of it. Number one, the main key person regarding Alex Jones is Alex Jones' father. I think his name's David Jones. Alex has talked many times about how his father was in the John Birch Society and how he, grew up with his parents' friends that were in the John Birch Society. In his first movie, I think it's called America Destroyed by Design. I talk about it in one of the Secret Right films. Right at the very beginning of that film, he's pimping the John Birch Society and their the New American Magazine, which is their magazine, and also None Dare Call It a Conspiracy, which was a John Birch Society thing. Again, all these things are CIA. This is code for CIA, people. Alex Jones' father, you can look it up. There's lots of stuff out there. He's talked about his dad doing stuff with the CIA before. And anybody knows anything about the CIA knows that this stuff is hereditary. If people have parents that are in the CIA, their children, a lot of the times, are later recruited into the CIA as well. And I said this a long time ago, very early on, 10 years or so ago, when I first started exposing Jones and the CMP and all this stuff, that my theory was that, he wasn't just, set up somewhere along the line. Jones wasn't just, some people start out as just regular people and they get fucking, recruited or co-opted or whatever after so many years. They start out legit. Jones, absolutely, my theory many years ago, and I believe this even more now with more information that we have, absolutely, I think they were probably, when he was real young, they were already because they were already filling his head with all this stuff, with all this New World Order stuff. They were already, he had John Birch Society influence and all this stuff. Yeah, I think that they were grooming him from a very young age to be what he's become. And so Alex Jones' dad involvement, you can look it up. Look up, type David Jones, CIA. You can go look. There's tons of stuff out there people put out about this stuff. And so there you go. I mean, Alex's dad. And he's really the main guy behind the whole InfoWars thing. He's really the man behind the curtain that really is controlling everything. I mean, so there's been articles out about it where it talks about how his parents have made millions of dollars themselves off of InfoWars and all that stuff. So the reason he would know this information, and the reason that Alex would have access to this information, the reason he would know that Trump's father was in the John Birch Society, yet you go and look for that information, you can't find anywhere, would be because of his dad. Because his dad is John Birch Society, and he's talked about his dad doing stuff with and doing work for the CIA. And this is something that, when I made the Spellcaster Volume 1, I couldn't really find the information to put it together, but I had already peripherally, I can't even say the word peripherally. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'd already found stuff that, because everybody was, Trump, he's the real deal. He's not one of these. No, that guy's had CIA clearance for a very long time. And that's what all this, Russian connection stuff is all about. The stuff I told you about with, his connections to the Sultan of Brunei and stuff that he bought that, I've talked about Adnan Khashoggi and Khashoggi and all that stuff in his infamous fucking yacht that Queen wrote the song about, Khashoggi's ship. And that, he purchased that yacht. Trump purchased that yacht from the Sultan of Brunei, long before he was in office and all that stuff. These guys are all, these are all CIA connected arms dealers. Guys that were providing the weapons to the Contras. And the Contras was that was 100% CIA CMP thing. And don't forget Oliver North. He's counts for national policy too. So again, this is exactly why he would have this knowledge of this, and exactly why he's been so lined up with the CMP for so many years, the John Birch Society for so many years. I remember 10, 12 years ago, Alex Jones, whenever you used to buy stuff from him, he'd send out these, I used to have a bunch of them, he'd send out these like pocket Constitution things. He sent them out with like every order that you got. And people were just, back then, were just too ignorant to even see the forest for the trees and to even know that, all it took was one glance down at one of those things. I think he changed them after a while, but for a long time, the ones he sent out were said, courtesy of the Heritage Foundation. Another one of these CMP connected CIA front groups. All this stuff going on with the, all the NRA stuff. That was one thing I should have put that I just didn't think about. Like I said, you can't fit everything in every movie, so I've given up trying on that. But one other piece of information relating to my Spellcasters information would be the connection of, as I've talked about many times before, the NRA, its connection to the CIA, Bob Barr, being on the board of directors. He's a known CIA asset. In fact, Bob Barr, the whole thing I talk about that in the first Secret Ride film. The whole thing to impeach Clinton came about in a CMP meeting and brought up by Bob Barr. And who was the NRA's biggest spokesman for the longest time? You ought to pry it from my cold dead fingers. Fucking Charlton Heston, right? Charlton Heston. What was he? He was a Hollywood actor, and he was their biggest focus. So, two and two together on that one. Not hard to see that Charlton Heston was CIA also. They've been counting on nobody ever finding this out, and that's why no matter how many conspiratorial TV shows they have and articles and stuff they do, you notice they won't ever even touch the shit like this that I've been talking about for years. Not even in an attempt to try and falsely debunk it. You notice that? They'll shit talk every other. That's what all these other stupid ass fucking conspiracy theories and all these stupid ass things that come along. That's why they don't matter fuck one of a hill of beans to anything, flat earth shit and all this other crap that the media is fucking happy to focus in on, happy to do hit pieces on, happy to talk shit on, because they know that it's just a part of the plan to muddy the waters and get people confused so they don't know what to believe. You notice they won't even fucking touch this shit with a 10-foot pole because they know that the same fucking rag that wipes their ass is the same one that wipes the ass of the CIA and Jones and all the rest of these clowns, okay? These guys are all in this fucking pot together. They're all in this, and the media is complicit, and they're owned by the CIA and everything else as well. That's all this stuff, man. I mean, more stuff has come out over the past several weeks, especially with all this, Russian investigation stuff. More stuff has come out that just prove this stuff even further. Because now there's been stuff that's come out about about them trying to set up about the Trump administration trying to set up a back channel secret communication thing with Russia. I don't know how you say this. I'm going to butcher this because I don't know I haven't listened to the news. I don't know how they're pronouncing it, but the whole, I guess, Seychelles, is that how you pronounce that? Seychelles? The founder of the security firm Blackwater did not mention to the House Intelligence Committee last year that a Lebanese-American businessman had attended a meeting in the Seychelles Islands, a trip that has come under intense scrutiny in the Russian investigation, according to a review of the transcript. In testimony last November before the panel, Eric Prince was questioned extensively about the January 2017 Seychelles meeting and whether it was an attempt to set up a secret communications between the Trump administration and Russia. As Prince furiously denied that was the case, he also did not reveal that George Nader, a Lebanese-American businessman and Middle East specialist with ties to the Trump team, also attended at least one meeting, raising fresh questions among Democrats about whether Prince misled the panel when testifying under oath. So again, there's another CMP connection to Trump, one of the many that we've had. Again, there's the code word, CMP, Council for National Policy, CIA. It's a CIA-controlled front group. That's why all these people get so fucking nervous when you bring it up to them. Because they know once this stuff gets wide blown open, that's why I've never stopped beating the fucking horse on it since I found out about it in 2007. This is the thing to change people's perceptions. This is why I've been so intent on getting this information out to people. I mean, again, this is one of the reasons why you got to support my work, because again, I've been exposing things and people they're just now starting to catch up to it. I'm glad people are, but there's a reason why, because the information was so important. It was too early. Its importance had come too early when I first started talking about it. It's taken all this stuff to happen now for the importance of this to even come to light. I mean, Eric Prince, here we go. I mean, Blackwater, CMP all the way. His parents, Ed Grinnell's a Prince. They were both CIA, admittedly CIA. Eric Prince is CIA as well, admittedly. He's admitted to that in news articles before. His parents, Ed Grinnell's a Prince, were on the board of, I guess, the board of directors or the board of, board of trustees, maybe, whatever. The people who originally, initially, along with, what's his name? That fucking demon-looking dude I talk about in Secret Right One. the guy that wrote the Left Behind books, Tim LaHaye. Ed Grinnell's and Prince were founding board members of the Council for National Policy. You had Dr. Edward Teller, the father of the hydrogen bomb. Nobody ever talks about him. Look into him. Look into his CIA connections. Look into his connections to the National Security Administration. Look, that's, you really want to understand this Council for National Policy thing. Go look at the articles of incorporation and all that stuff for the group. Ed Grinnell's a Prince, the father of the hydrogen bomb. Look at these. These are the people who were knee deep in the intelligence community at that time. And what they started has continued now into the future with new people and other new people involved in it. And again, as I show you in the Spellcasters, Volume 1 and in 1.5, this also connects in with Trump. I mean, we had, at his inauguration, you had the richest Scientologists in the world were at his inauguration. I told you in Spellcasters about the Russian connections and stuff to Trump before he was even elected, man. And told you in that movie that he would absolutely be elected. I remember I was 2 years before he was elected. I was one of the only people that were saying absolutely he was going to elect. Even the people that voted for him and even the people that were supporting Trump at that time were saying I was wrong and that Hillary was going to win. It's unbelievable. Because that's how locked into the narrative that they're trying to, scare people and get people up. It's how dedicated to it they were. Didn't matter fuck one that I could show you that I knew for a fact because of his connections to these different CMP people that 100% he was going to be elected. Did you see that story I posted a couple of weeks ago about the lady that said people should quit the NRA and go join Scientology? I mean, again, yeah, Samantha Bee urges NRA members to quit and join Scientology instead. I show you the connections to Scientology and the Truth Movement and all this. I mean, folks, the whole so-called Truth Movement shortly after the death of Kennedy was 100% set up as a counterintelligence operation in order to steer people away even further from the real truth and give people a version that would satisfy their need to hunt for the truth. And I fell for it for a long time, and pretty much everybody's fallen for it. But it doesn't matter that you fell for it. What matters now is that you're able to see through it and not fall for it ever again. I mean, you think it's a coincidence that they just happen to throw Scientology in with this whole gun debate and the NRA? I mean, again, Scientology, that's another keyword. It's another code word, for CIA. But all this stuff is designed to keep people confused and to keep people from ever finding the real truth and just not knowing what to believe. Here's another one. Republican-Jewish coalition calls for resignation of 7 Democrats over ties to Farrakhan. Well, wait a minute. Farrakhan himself, before Trump was elected, said he was going to vote for Trump. I got clips in the Spellcasters of him and Jones talking together. I'll show you in 1.5 the connection to Farrakhan, Scientology, about him being a free zone Scientologist. The Republicans are just as much in bed with Farrakhan as anybody on the left is. Because again, it's not left, it's not right, it's not this religion, that. It's CIA, it's secretive operators who are all working in tandem for the same goals and the same ends, and their enemy is you and me. They can sit there on TV and in the news and in the media and out in public and act like they're this team versus that team. They're on the same team. The only team is them against us. That's it, man. We're the ones in the crosshairs, and they're the ones holding the rifle. And it's time that we turn that situation around. See what else we have here. I just got so much that's been piling up for so long. Apple TV and Amazon slammed over broadcasting the new Scientology TV network. The likes of Apple and Amazon are on the receiving end of a backlash over their plans to broadcast a new TV network from the Church of Scientology. Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, Google Play, iTunes, DirecTV, and Amazon Fire are among the places you'll be able to tune in. Well, look, you know, the fact of the matter is, Scientology has got fucking funding, dude. They got the funding. I mean, you know, if you got the funding, you can get anything, any channel or anything. I mean, I could get my own fucking TV network and have it put up on those same places. That's if I had the money to do it. Takes thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's all pay to play, dude. Everything's pay to play. The music industry's pay to play. Everything's the movie, everything. If you want to get a movie out into, you know, the general public, you want to get out there, it takes money. Thousands and thousands of dollars. And not just like a couple of thousand dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. But if you got the money to do it, they don't give a fuck if you're Scientology or the Ass Blaster fucking network. They don't give a shit. The fucking, you know, flicking that bean like Mean Joe Green channel. I mean, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. The I Shit Myself network. 24 hours a day, you watch me on the pot shitting myself. As long as you got the money, it doesn't matter. That's the only thing that allows Scientology to be able to do what they're doing now. Because I've looked into it. That's the only reason I know this stuff. I could get my money, my movies up on, you know, Netflix and all these places and iTunes, but it's in some cases it's $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 per pop, and you have to have the money up front just for them to try. And if it gets, you know, denied or whatever, you know, you get your money back minus a fee, but it's still, you still have to have thousands upon thousands of dollars, expendable dollars ready on hand to even do it. And Scientology does. So, you know, again, that's the only reason that they're putting this stuff up there. They're showing them the money, so they take it. They don't give a fuck if it's Scientology or who it is. It could be the all Satan worshiping channel. They don't care. As long as you meet their fee, that's the same way the music industry is now and everything else. The music industry is pay to play. You want to play big gigs, you want to get played on the radio, you want to get your stuff in the stores, you can get all of that. Anything can be available to you so long as you have the money to pay it. That's what it is. And that's the only thing that separates people now. It's not talent. It's not any of that stuff. It's not one person has more talent than the other. It's who has the most money. Who has the most expendable income to pour into a movie, a record, whatever it might be. A TV channel, you know, if you got the money to put behind it, and that's why so much of this stuff now is so agenda driven. That's why everything in TV is agenda driven. That's why everything in movies is agenda driven. Because the people that are trying to push these agendas on people have the big fucking budgets behind them. Real fucking people putting out real truth don't have big budgets behind them. It's the same reason why you have all these fucking YouTube channels and different stuff where, you know, look, there's a reason why a lot of these YouTube channels only been around for a couple of years have 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 subscribers, folks. Majority of them ain't real. I've had my fucking YouTube channel since 2006. I only really started putting my shows up there in 2015. I had about 6 million lifetime views on my videos, and I've got a little over 13,000 subscribers. And every fucking one of those is real and fucking hard earned. But these people, you can pay money. It's easily done. I could have done it a long time ago. I could do it now. If I had a few $100s or a few $1,000s to spend, I could go and buy a bunch of fake likes and get my channel up to a few 100,000 subscribers in a week or two. It's easy to be done. But most people don't even know, because people's view of reality is just, they just think it is what it is, and it's just what they see in front of them is reality. So if somebody's never started their own YouTube page or whatever, never involved with this stuff, they don't know what's possible. They don't know that you can do all this stuff. Jones, that's how Jones built his whole thing, man. We busted him 10 years ago using botnet computers to spike his Shoutcast listener streams. Because you'd go in there and look and look at the numbers, and these numbers would be the same at 3 o'clock in the morning as they would at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just impossible. No one has that many consistent people listening, and the tens of thousands. It's all fake. But it's all pay to play. And again, as I've talked about many times, this is what has enabled them and continues to allow these people to win, is because they have millions of dollars in their budgets to promote and put out information that backs up these phony agendas. And they know, so long as somebody like me doesn't have the kind of big money that you need to play in the same arena as those guys, they just continue to do this stuff and feel they're going to continue to get away with it. Again, it's not bullshit, folks. This is the whole reason why my work and what I do here deserves and needs big time funding. You know, I want to go and fucking have the money to go and stake out a fucking Council for National Policy meeting with a fucking long lens from across the street and just take photos and pictures of everybody that goes in and out of that motherfucker. How come nobody's done that yet? You think somebody would have done that by now? Nobody has. It's going to be up to me to do it, but it's going to take thousands of dollars to put that together, go wherever the fuck they're having the meeting at that year, because they have them all across the United States at different places, always at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, though. But it's very difficult to find out ahead of time where they're going to have them at. But it does happen. But that's the whole thing. That's what it boils down to, folks. I've told you this before. They've spent millions of dollars fighting my work through the years, from bullshit TV shows and everything else. And we've done the damage to them on less than a shoestring. And I between what I've already done with the Spellcasters, what I'm doing now with Volume 2, and what I plan to do next year with the Secret Rite Ultimate Edition, I mean, it's really going to be the hardest hit that's ever been done to these people. And, it's just sick, man, because all these, everybody's still buying into all this fucking bullshit left versus right fucking crap. And these people are all working towards the same end, man. And people can't see that they had to have a Trump in there. People bitch and moaned about Obama for 8 years. And I said the whole time he was in there, y'all just get ready, because Obama is just getting you primed and ready so they can sell you on another right-wing person who will end up being so bad they'll have somebody 3 times worse than Obama was, and people will gladly elect him because they'll just want... It's the same thing. Bush was so bad we had to have a left-winger in. Next, you got Obama. Obama, so bad, we got to have a fucking right-winger in, right? But all of it is, they're all moving towards the same goal. That's why when as I've shown in my research with the Council for National Policy, the CFR, they all connect back to these, the Fabian Society, the Royal Institute of International Affairs. These are the people that are funding and controlling all of these CIA front groups on both sides of the aisle because they're both serving the same agenda. But the people stay divided on left and right politics and never question it, never understanding that they're both bringing about the same agenda. 100%. This is not up for argument. This is a fact. This is not a theory. The research and the information and the facts, it's all there, folks. All right. Well, that's going to do it for me for this edition of the show. I'm going to be doing quite a few shows this week, so please support my work. Like I said, our fundraising goal for this week, well, at the end of the week, I guess by next Monday, the 2nd, we'll have to have our 100% operating cost goal. Right now, I just need to get like $100 in here this week. We've had to get the piece of gear and being sick last week, so we just really raised like $100 this week or whatever just for operating costs and all that stuff. But like I said, go and check out the different perks. I don't think I finished going over that earlier. It was the whole thing I wanted to bring up. I didn't even end up going through. So I'll do it now. What I want to tell you about the perks we have this month was we're only having them for this month. You donate $100, you get 3 downloads from the shop and any name of your choice in the credits of the Spellcasters Volume 2. Here's the big one. And no one's cashed this in yet this month, and I want to tell you about it because I think this is just a great thing if, for people who have been fans of my work for a long time, plan on being a fan of my work for a long time. If you donate $300 or more, you'll get, we're only doing this month, okay? So if you want to get this, you got to get it now. Free downloads from the download shop for life and the name of your choice in the Spellcasters 2 credits. So if you donate $300 this week, you will get as many downloads. You can just send me a list, whatever you want from the download shop, and then anytime new stuff goes up in there for life, you get as many as you want. All you have to do is just email me anytime, say, I need links to download this, this, and this, please, and I'll send them right to you. If you donate $500 or more, you'll get the free downloads from the shop for life, your name of any of your name or a name of your choice in the Spellcasters 2 co-producer credit, and you'll also get a personal 30-minute Skype session with yours truly. So that's what I was trying to get to earlier in the show when I started talking about the Spellcasters 2 and whatnot. Yeah, so definitely go and check out all the perks this month, and we're only going to be offering those this month only. So again, this is moving closer towards the completion of this film, and really honestly, I mean, I'm not going to give up, but this film is going to just so effortlessly rock some fucking foundations that, if we don't see a big effect out of this, man, I might as well pack it up because I'm telling you, there's just no way this film's not going to have a massive impact. All right, guys. I love all of you. Please support our work and visit the download shop as well. We'll have links to that in the video. And get yourself, I know all of you out there still haven't seen all my films. You definitely want to check out my newest audiobook I put out a few months ago, The Covert War Against Rock. Very key to listen to. It's about, how many hours is it? 10, 12, 13 hours? I can't remember. It's a good one. But there's so much stuff in there that's going to be key stuff that I'm not going to really have time to expound on in the Spellcasters 2 that you really want to hear in that audiobook reading. It's truly great, and we've had a lot of great reviews and a lot of people saying a lot of great things about that audiobook. So Spellcasters 1.5, and the Covert War Against Rock audiobook. Those are the 3 things you 100% need to get if you don't already have them, and make yourself familiar with before I release Spellcasters Volume 2, hopefully the next month. About this time next month, it should be done. I'm going to get back to it, folks, and I'll see you tomorrow for another show as well. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Take care.